We continue to bask in the afterglow of that 49er win last night. An hour in, Trapes, how's it gone for you?
No, I feel good, man.
Good.
I feel good. People won't be able to paint me as a Niners hater anymore, right? I've gotten rid of that reputation.
Our next guest here was one of the people named by our panel of experts and ne'er-do-wells as one of the top 50 Sacramento Kings ever. Kings coming up on 40 years here. He only played 1 year here, but it was the first year in Sacramento. Very accomplished basketball figure, currently head coach, men's basketball at Indiana, 11-year NBA veteran, an original Sacramento King, Mike Woodson joining us today. How are you today, Mike?
I'm doing fine, Kevin and Cal. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great, and we appreciate your time here. I'm just wondering, what Mike, is the first thing that you think of when you remember that first year of the Kings here in Sacramento?
It was a great move. And that's no knock against leaving Kansas City because I left a lot of friends behind there.
Mm-hmm.
But once we made the move, the fan support was unbelievable. I mean, it's hard to even describe it, and it's still that way today. But it was like, for me, being back in college because everywhere you went around town, everyone knew who you were. And, we were the main attraction in that city, and they treated us that way. So, the transfer from Kansas City to Sacramento was like night and day. Although I had some great times in Kansas City, but nothing like what we experienced that first year in Sacramento. Was unbelievable.
Mike Woodson joining us. Coach, it's Kyle Draper. Let me just start off by saying, big fan of yours. I used to work in Louisville, Kentucky. We used to cover IU basketball. Very familiar with your college career, also with your pro career. And as a coach, one of my good friends is Josh Childress, who you had there in Atlanta as well. So it's an honor. Yeah, it's an honor for me to, have you on our show. When you look at that first year in Sacramento, were there any expectations coming in, or was it so fresh and new, like, you know what, we're just hooping and whatever the record may be, it may be?
I think at that particular time, the city was just excited to have a pro team. And, we were coming off a bad year in Kansas City after making the playoffs the year prior to that. And so we were still searching. We were a young team that was growing together pretty much as a team. And unfortunately, when we got to Sac and we started that season, we got off to such a bad start. I think it was something like 6-15, 16, something like that. It was awful. But the beauty about that bad start was we still got standing ovations when we lost, which was amazing. You laugh about that. I laugh about that now because that's unheard of. That's how beautiful the Sacramento fans were, and they appreciated us even when we lost. And Phil Johnson, who was the coach, he just flipped the lineup. I wasn't playing much during that particular stretch, and he took Larry Drew out of the lineup, put me in the lineup, and he took Eddie Johnson out of the lineup and put Terry Tyler in the lineup, and we took off. And I want to say we had like the third best record the second half of the season behind the Lakers and the Celtics that particular year, and was able to get into the playoffs, which, nobody thought that would happen after the start that we had.
Yeah, Mike Woodson with us, one of the original Sacramento Kings, longtime NBA coach at Indiana. As you said, Coach, that team made the playoffs. There haven't been a lot of playoff teams in Sacramento. That first year, yeah, you guys made the playoffs. Do you think perhaps, not to be critical of anyone, I know Mr. Axelson's not with us anymore, but did they maybe break that team up a little early?
That's exactly what happened. We were young, we were growing, we were starting to come into our own as a ball club, and I just thought they panicked, man. I had knee surgery right after that season, and I was one of the first, along with Larry Drew, to get traded, and it was a struggle based on the players that they brought back in they never recaptured what we had started that particular year. It took them a long time to recover from that. And I just thought that they panicked too soon, and they should have let us continue to grow as a team and added pieces. And I thought we would have been just fine, but that's, life in the NBA.
Hey, Coach, I look at that roster and just, if you could tell me, what kind of team were you guys? What kind of style? Because I look at you, I look at Reggie, Eddie Johnson. You guys could fill it up. Were you a run and gun, outscore them kind of, or did you guys play any defense?
No, we struggled on the defense. We struggled a little bit on the defensive end, but we could score with the best of them. You look at Eddie Johnson and the career he's had, that he had, 18 years in the league. I don't know how many. He scored probably 18,000 points. Reggie scored a lot of points. I was able to. Larry Drew scored. I mean, we were a good offensive team, but boy, you asked us to play defense and get stops. Boy, that was a struggle.
Mike Woodson, our guest, one of the original Kings. Now, of course, Mike, as you well know, the Kings are playing in the Golden One Center, beautiful facility. Before that, they were in Arco 2, which was a nice building, and it became obsolete. But you played in what is now, I think it's like an office supply building or something. That first Arco 1, which was so small. What was it like playing NBA basketball in that tiny place?
It was a matchbox. It was right at 10,000 people. But boy, I tell you what, when opposing teams would come in, they knew we had home court advantage based on the fans. No, really, they were so loud and supportive of us. And, once we got rolling, man, we didn't lose very many games in Arco after, we turned it around. But fun place to play in.
Coach, switching gears just a little bit, you were on some pretty good IU teams, Indiana University. You got to play with Isaiah Thomas. When we talk about all-time great point guard, Steph has mentioned Magic. Put into context where Isaiah fits in and all that.
He's right there. If you want to talk about the smallest point guard that's ever played the game, I put him right there. Magic is probably the best big point guard that's ever played the game. I mean, I think when you start your team, if you want to win, you started with Magic Johnson based on the body of work that he's put in from high school, college, and pros, the Olympics, you name it, he's done it. And Isaiah, based on the body of work he's put in, I mean, he's been a winner at every level as well. And, I mean, for his size and what he's done in our league, hard to replace that, man. He's right at the top. When you ask Mike Woodson, I could be a little biased, but hey, I think Isaiah is one of the greatest point guards that's ever played the game.
Yeah, I think he's somehow underrated because it gets lost in the shuffle with Bird, Magic. I don't know. Yeah.
It should be. Yeah. I'm just telling you, it shouldn't be. He has 2 titles to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I put him right there.
Coach, Jerry Reynolds is a friend of ours, friend of the show, and he's a media icon here. And he comes on the show all the time, and he's always telling us stories about players, and you were one of his favorites, of course. He's telling us about this player did this, that player did that. Do you have any stories? And I know it was just the 1 year there, but he was here with the Kings a long time. I know you dealt with him. Do you have any stories about Jerry Reynolds that you can tell? Because he's always telling stories about players.
All good stuff, man. I mean, Jerry was well knowledgeable of the game. He had been around a lot of great players, even dating back to college.
Mm-hmm.
And, he told it like it was. I mean, when he was on the air, and I had nothing but respect for him because we all got to know we were one big family. Cotton Fitzsimmons, that whole crew, Eddie Johnson. I mean, went on for days. Joe C. Merriweather, Drew, Ray Williams. I mean, all the players that had come through during that time. Jerry was pretty special, man, when it comes to doing his job. I mean, he did a hell of a job, and that's why he lasted as long as he did.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Hey, Coach, the Kings have made a turnaround, obviously, a couple of years ago, made the playoffs, ended the drought, And, Mike Brown has done a hell of a job here. Can you just talk about just your experience with Mike Brown and the success he's having now here in Sacramento?
Great coach. Great ownership. I've gotten to know Raj Pathal, one of the majority owners of the team over the years. Met him when I was coaching in L.A. with the Clippers. What a nice man, nice family, just a beautiful person to be around. And they hired the right guy. Mike came in there and he flipped it, and they've had some success with that ball club. They're young, and very talented, man. I like Fox. I like everything about how he runs his ball club. They're just a good team to watch. They're a fun team to watch. And, when you're in the West, man, there's so much talent in the West. It's just, you got to stay on your toes to even make the playoffs in the West. And they've done a pretty damn good job of doing that.
Catching up with Mike Woodson. Coach, I know that you played for and coached with some legends, including, of course, Coach Knight, whom we lost less than a year ago, and Larry Brown. I know you've coached college, NBA. How have you adapted your coaching style to the way the game has evolved and become so perimeter-oriented?
Well, it started to make that change when I was coaching the Knicks. I don't know if you guys remember the year we won the division. We led the league in threes taken and threes made, and we were third in field goal percentage that particular year. So, and we were putting up, I think at that time, close to 33s. And I didn't think that record would ever be broken. And then here comes James Harden and Steph Curry. They changed the whole game, man, in terms of where we are today. And with, college teams are shooting a lot of threes. The NBA is jacking up a lot of threes. And, I'm not against it. I just think you got to have the right personnel when you're doing that, I think we've kind of assembled some of that this year. We lacked shooting, the last 3 years that I've been here at Indiana, but I think we're in a better position coming into this season with guys and personnel to be able to, shoot threes as well as post the ball some and have some inside game as well.
Coach, I look at a player you had there in Indiana, and I know he plays with our rivals, the Golden State Warriors, but how the hell did Trace Jackson Davis slip so far down, and did the Warriors get a steal in this guy? He's poised to have a big role for them this year.
Well, I couldn't understand that either. And I spoke to a lot of the NBA teams back then. The big knock was he can't make a three. Well, he can rebound. He defends. He can handle the ball. He passes the ball. He finishes at the rim with both hands. He runs the floor. So he can't make a jump shot. I'll take that type of player over a guy that's just a jump shooter. Mm-hmm. He does a lot of things, and I think Steve Kerr and his staff recognize that. And that's why he has had some success early on in his career in the NBA. And I can't help but think if he continues to work, he's going to continue to get better.
One of the original Sacramento Kings.
Yes.
Coach, we appreciate your time very, very much. Best of luck this year with the Hoosiers, and we hope to talk to you again soon. Thanks for joining us today, Mike.
I'm pulling for the Kings because I've always done that. In my heart, I'm always a King as well.
Nice.
So, love hearing that, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, guys. Take care.
All right.
Yeah. Mike Woodson, according to the panel, he was top 50.
Yes.
Even though he's only here that 1 year in Sacramento.
Oh, he was a bucket too, man. Look at his numbers. Basketball Reference. This guy could score the rock.
Mm-hmm. And then is Reggie Theus coming up too this week?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, my guy, Reggie. I'm excited about that.
5:30.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. When we come back, Jordan Mason's huge night by the numbers. Some staggering numbers are next with the Drive Guys on Sactown Sports.